government position be before Fair Work Australia on the issue of providing a veto to the UFU over CFA management?
There's no vetoes.
Well, that's not what the CFA management says directly.
No, well,
quote, require agreement to provide veto to UFU over CFA management decisions. They say they won't bend on that.
Well,
where does the government stand?
We are not going to negotiate clause by clause an agreement that's
there
not yet been done.
There are only 3 clauses the CFA say go to the very heart of their existence. These will all be before Fair Work, the Fair Work Commission. Where will the government stand before the Fair Work Commission?
What the CFA says very clearly is that this dispute needs to come to an end. Secondly, they make the point very clearly that they support these matters being adjudicated by the independent umpire. Fair Work is very well acquainted with these issues. They've been providing assistance and support for quite some time.
Yep.
All the parties support the independent umpire dealing with these matters, and that's how it'll be resolved. I don't propose, Neil, on your program or any other program to be going through clause by clause. The government's there to assist the independent umpire if they need assistance. But all the parties, Neil, the CFA, whom you're quoting, and the MFB, and Emergency Management Victoria, and the Department of Justice, and the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and the union are all supportive of the independent umpire dealing with these matters.
Premier, there's no question of that. Will the government make a submission to that independent umpire on the key issues that the CFA say go to the very heart of it?
It'll be for the CFA and the MFB and others to put their case.
So nothing from the
government?
To put
their view. Well, I'm not entirely certain whether in the running of that case the government will be putting an independent view. No, we will be there to provide assistance. When I said earlier on that we're there represented, we're there to provide assistance and support where it's needed, but this is a dispute and an enterprise bargain between the employer, being the CFA and the MFB, and the workforce represented by the union. We're there to provide support and assistance. Ultimately, these matters could not be resolved through talks. They will be resolved by the adjudication of the independent umpire. All the parties support that, and I think that's how we'll get the best outcome.
Did the Minister attend the talks you had with Peter Marshall?
No, she didn't. She was aware of the meeting, and I spoke with her about it shortly thereafter.
Why didn't she go?
Well,
was the Minister in charge?
Well, I have lots of different meetings, Neil, and sometimes they involve ministers and sometimes they don't. It's a really important part of my job, and sometimes I meet with business leaders,
But she had been negotiating this for a year. You had a meeting and she didn't go.
The Minister for Industrial Relations has been involved as well, so has the Treasurer. There's lots of different...
Any of them there?
No, they weren't there.
Just the two of you?
There was a discussion between myself and the Secretary of the Union. And
how many such discussions have there been?
Well, I've had one discussion with him. And
no other discussions or meetings with him at all?
No, not that I can recall, no. I had a meeting which was really important to try and find a way through on this, and I make no apology for meeting with people, discussing things, talking about...
You said you won't do it in the past.
No, that's not right, Neil. That's not right.
You've said it to me. I mean, I thought you should, but you said you wouldn't.
No, I've made it very clear to you for a long time, Neil. I don't sit down and negotiate clause by clause. That's not what occurred. We had a discussion about a way forward, about progress that had been made, about the outstanding issues, and now we find ourselves, all of us, in agreement that we're in the Commission, in Fair Work Australia. That's the appropriate way to go. But Neil, I'm not going to sit here and
the Minister's quite happy. I mean, there's been portrayed a division within Cabinet with your Minister.
Well, that's just not right. And look, there's a bit of colour and movement around this, and if you describe a meeting as a secret meeting, it's a bit more exciting. This is just the usual. The Minister knew about it
before the event.
Yes, that's right. And I had a discussion with her afterwards. I have lots of meetings, Neil, lots of them, and they're all important, and it's an important part of my job. I just take you back. I just take you back to the key point here. We want all of us to be focused on keeping our community safe, and I can't put it better than the acting chair of the CFA when he says this has gone on too long.
Premier, that's motherhood stuff. We all agree with that. The problem here is that you and the CFA and Peter Marshall seem to be split. The CFA is saying there are 3 things that undermine their very existence. It's reported that you've essentially agreed with that.
Well, those reports are wrong. There is no agreement.
So it's not to do with anything other than the CFA says this is threatening their very operation.
Well,
and where do you stand on that? And you're telling me you don't know yet.
No, what we've got is this: a number of matters that are outstanding. The parties can't come to an agreement, as has been the case in many different industrial disputes. There's an independent umpire there for a good reason. We use Fair Work Australia to come to a balanced outcome. That process is happening literally as we speak. And I would just draw your attention to the fact that we've been able to secure outcomes with our nurses and midwives, with our ambulance paramedics, with our police, with our public servants. We are about good faith bargaining, and where you can't reach agreement by sitting down and talking through the issues, you use the independent umpire. That's the best way to get an outcome. But, you know, our commitment to volunteers, our commitment to career firefighters and their services, it cannot be questioned, Neil. 450 firefighters, we're recruiting them, additional stations.
The CFA's questioning
them. Well, I don't believe that's accurate at all.
Well, CFA members are questioning.
Well, the CFA's not questioning it, and because it can't be questioned. We are supporting our firefighters with more resources than they've ever had, recruitment, things like presumptive rights. We'll have more to say about that quite soon. Fair Work Australia is there to help us get through this, and as the chairman of the CFA says, it's gone on too long, and we need to get an outcome.